Fine. So in the last session, just we gone through the process of assigning offerings to specific team members and the relevant information just we gone through. And in today's session, we'll talk about geographies. So geographies. So every country has its own address style. So that information can be managed with the concept called as geographies. So in the Fusion instance, if you are going to do the implementation, say for US client, you have to make sure that US geography related information is available. So that data is available. Oracle is providing for most of the countries, they are providing the country specific geography information. But what we have to do is we have to activate it to use in the configuration or transaction or tax calculation process. So wherever we use the geography information, say we are going to create the location, maybe location for your business unit or location for your inventory organization. Okay, if you are going to create, we require the information. We require, if you are creating location for say US, you require state, you require county, city, postal code, all the information. The same if you are going to create the site or say address for supplier, you have to just need all those information. The supplier site is belongs to which location, which state, which county, city. In the same way customer, and when you are going to calculate the tax, if you are going to calculate tax based on the locations and all, in the tax related configuration calculation process also we need geographies information. So what we have to do is in the fresh instance we have to activate those geographies information. Okay, in the fresh instance we have to activate that information. So what Oracle is doing is, say you are going to implement for US client. If you are doing the implementation for US client, what we have to do is first we have to just enable or activate the geographies information. So you'll have a country, say USA, and for USA country they are maintaining all the geographies related information. Means in USA how many states we have, how many counties we have, how many cities, and postal codes, all information they are maintaining. That information they are maintaining within the instance by giving the name as source name as a Nokia. Okay, Nokia. So as we know that is one of the mobile brand, but here, okay, the Nokia name they are using as a source where US data is available within the instance. The source name within the application, the source name is Nokia. Okay, you can just, what we have to do is you have to load the data from Nokia to Nokia source to the specific country. You have to select the country and you have to load the data from Nokia source. That's how for USA all the predefined, okay, address information will be available. So in the first instance, this is the activity we have to do as a first task. So after completing this, you can start with your configuration. Okay, and otherwise say just you want to get for your taxation and all, you are getting the files from the taxware, Vertex, from other third party tax vendors. In that case, yes, we have option, we can load that information into our application also. So that provision also we have, but by default, okay, they are providing the geography specific, country specific information, and that we have to load into the application. We'll just look at that process how it works in the first instance. If you are going to work, so from where you have to start, whatever you have seen, that is the initial level. We have to enable the offerings and options, and we have to create the project, and assignments are optional. Automatically system assign the project to resource. Once you are done with that, that is just it just as a kickstart, just will do that activity. After that, before we get into the configuration part, we have to load the geographies information, where geographies information is available within the instance only as a source of Nokia, as a Nokia data we call that, we have to activate. Then we can start with any application related configuration. As we know, whatever you implement in any application, initially we have to start with the primary ledger definition, then we'll go application specific configuration, right? We'll see that. So go to instance, and before getting to this concept, so if any questions from anyone, just to understand about how to start with the fusion and this environment related specific questions and all, any questions please? If no questions, then we can start with this task, how to work on it and how we have to load and what are the other points we have to consider. We'll see that. Then we can start with the basic configuration of accounting calendar, currency, chart of accounts, primary ledger, and then we'll go in the sequence. Any questions from anyone? So any clarity you need and any points you have to understand before we start with the fusion, if you're related to fusion cloud, any questions please?
Hey Lakshman,
Yes,
this is Ben.
Lakshman.
Yeah.
One.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, thanks for that. So the question is, for example, we are creating projects, right? Is it we do at the time of the implementation, say we want to implement 2 modules and we create a project and we execute it. For example, in the future, if at all we have to change configuration changes, still we need to create it as a project, or we could simply go to the setup and make changes to it.
We create project to do the setups, or if you want to do the modifications to the setup, we'll use the same.
So is it mandatory or is it just tracking, but the recommended way of doing it, the project method?
Recommended. Otherwise, you'll be doing double task when you do the setups, where you have to navigate in all the ways to reach that page. If you have a project,
right, in the traditional way.
Simplify.
Okay.
Not mandatory.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, the question is regarding the Nokia data. Is that available only for US or it is available for all the countries?
Other countries also, but not all the countries. For most of the countries, it is available. We'll see that once we get into that. The relevant questions arise. So before we get into this geographies information, okay, any based on previous classes about this cloud instance or cloud implementations, any?
Lakshman, I'd like to know how easy is it to migrate the configurations if we don't create a project? Is it
No, you should.
I mean,
to migrate, you should create. If you want to
so we need a project to migrate the configuration.
Yeah, exactly. Without project, you cannot migrate. So only you have to, if you didn't create project, you completed setup, still you want to move that everything to targeted instance. In that case, it has to be cloned. The environment need to be cloned. Okay.
Okay.
For that you have to write SR to Oracle. Oracle Cloud DBA team will perform that activity. That's totally different. If you want to do on your own, project is recommended. That is a primary reason we create. And other reason is all the time you have to go with a different ways of navigation, searching, switching, changing, all these things you don't need to do if you have a project.
Right.
We'll come to know once we get into that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Which one? I missed the first part. You said one is for navigation and all. What was the first part? Why do we need to create a project?
To move the setups from one instance to another instance.
So if you don't have a project, you cannot move it from as a part of the config.
You cannot move as a functional task which can be performed by us by using the feature called as configuration packages. If you want to move the setup, system will ask, okay, you want to copy the setups from which project? System will ask the question. You cannot select project since you don't have a project, so you cannot move it. You cannot export that project specific setups.
Okay, thank you. Got it.
Yeah.
Lakshman, this is more one quick question.
Please.
In one instance, I have a project and I have all setups ready. When I am doing a configuration packages migrating to another instance, can I use the same project name information is copied over into the new environment, or we have to create the same project name?
No, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to do anything. The creation of configuration package is select existing project and submit. It will export the setups and import those setups into targeted instance through file only. That's it.
But the target instance, do I need to define a project, or it will take the existing project and copy it over?
It will take the same name, and you'll have an option of editing also. It will take.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anytime you can change the name.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Fine. Any other questions, please? Fine. We'll see if any
Sorry,
other. Yeah.
is the first part. Can you please quickly, if you don't mind, even if
Sorry?
it's just a minute? I said I missed the first part. I didn't understand the Nokia thing. I missed it.
Yeah, we are going to see that. We are going to see that detailed process. Okay, just for introduction, I was talking about this.
So is Nokia the company?
Nokia is not a company. See, you after your question, if you don't mind, please keep on. I can hear myself. Yeah, Nokia is not a company. This is one of the source name. Source name in Fusion applications. Okay, which holds the data, which holds geographies data. Okay.
So is that true in the client instance as well, or just for the vision they have created Nokia as a
No, no,
source?
no. It's in every instance you can find it. In every instance, it is not just a vision or a test. In every instance, this is a practice we have to follow. In every fresh instance you can find. In any instance you can find. So this is a source we use to populate the geography information for any country. Okay, fine. We'll go and see that. So go to FSM homepage. We know how to just land in this page, right? Once you log in, you have to click on username, click on setup and maintenance. If you have access to functional application implementation consultant, you can find this task and you can land on this page. Once you are on this page, go to task list and click on search. From here you can search for anything which is available in this instance, any task. Okay, but in project you can search for the tasks which are available within the project through those offerings and options. But from here, everything which is available in this instance you can search and find. But from here you cannot complete all the setups. There are certain setups which need to be done through project only. If not through project, we have alternative option that we'll be discussing anyway. Fine. Here what we want to do is we want to populate Nokia data for US. Say we are going to do the implementation for US client. In that case, how to start with this? We'll see that. So search for the task called as manage geographies. Click on search. So the task name is manage geographies. So we are going to do the implementation for which country? US. So provide country code, then click on search. So in the fresh instance, what happens is you have to search for the country. You could see this record, and you have to go to actions. The last option is import Nokia data. You have to click on that, then system will run the process and it will populate the data, and the complete US related geographies information would be available within this environment. From this page itself you can access. So why this import Nokia data is disabled here, grayed out? The reason already that is submitted in this instance. If it is a fresh instance, you could see this is as a active. You can click, it will trigger the process and it will populate. Okay, once it is done, once you click on that, it takes couple of hours time. Sometimes because of some instance performance issues, it may take day time also, 1 day or 2 days time also. This is how just we had experience. So it may take more time, but ideally it should be completed in a couple of hours to load all the data. Okay, the process wise, search for country in the fresh instance, go to actions, click on import Nokia data, it will load the data. Done. Once it's done, you can just go and see that information by clicking on define structures. You can see what is the structure we have for country. This also will be loaded by system only. State, county, city, postal code. And by following that, you could see hierarchy defined. So as per that hierarchy, this is a structure defined, means this is a kind of hierarchy based structure. Okay, level 1 top state, in state, county, in county, city, in city, postal code. This is the hierarchy, and this we don't need to play with this information. Just we have to go to actions and click on this. Everything will be, system will set fine. You don't need to do anything. Once you're done with that, you can review. This is how you could see. So here you can see all the data which is loaded under state, county, city, and everywhere. Okay, so for United States, these all are states. They all will come from the Nokia data. Okay, all will come from Nokia data. So source is Nokia. Okay, Nokia data, from where they are bringing the data to maintain in the Nokia data source. The data which they Oracle taken it from Vertex. The actual data provider is Vertex. From Vertex they taken the information, they placed in Nokia data. Once you click on load Nokia data, that would get populated under specific country. So these all are the states. If you expand state, within the state you can see county. If you expand the county, within that you can see city. If you expand the city, within the city you can see postal code. This is how the structure we have. Okay, this is how
So,
the structure is
Lakshman,
defined.
we get from Oracle. Sorry, Lakshman. Any instance we'll get from Oracle, even at any customer side,
Yes.
they will have no.
Yes. It's we'll get within the instance only.
Lakshman,
Why
this
it is
is
called
AJ.
Nokia?
Please go ahead.
I was asking,
No,
sorry, Tej. I was asking any reason why it is called Nokia?
Really, just I'm not very sure like why they named it as a Nokia. There could be some reason. So the source name they are just giving as a Nokia. There could be
Okay, thank you.
for Nokia other than the brand name as we know. Okay, that could be the reason.
So
Fine.
Lakshman,
Yeah.
because there was some problem in the network, I missed it. So this Nokia database means the file. So who provides this one? You have to build, or you have to bring from Dun and Bradstreet, or where it comes from?
That Nokia data would be available in every instance by default.
Okay. So how to import that one?
You see in currencies as a seed data, right? Every instance you can see currency as a seeded data. The same way,
Lakshman,
my request is please keep on mute. After question, keep on mute. If you have multiple questions, no issues, we can discuss. But whenever you ask the question, please keep on mute after asking the question. Yeah, the point is the Nokia data is the seeded data which would be available in instance, but just for the data which they are maintaining, they are naming it as a Nokia data. That is a source name. So how they are getting the data into Nokia, just a source, they are getting the data from Vertex data provider, the Vertex, the third party application. From that they are getting the data and they are keeping in the Nokia source, that they are giving option to populate for the specific country, for which country you are going to do the implementation. This is a point we have to understand. Any questions, please?
So which process do you need
Yeah,
to
hi
use?
Lakshman. Yeah, Lakshman, this is Nagaraju.
Yeah,
So
Nagaraj.
is this same? Yeah, is this same for other countries also, or only for US?
Countries also, yes. Well, I'll show you. We'll go through those other countries also. For now, we are taking case as a this what I can say, like for US.
Hey, Lakshman, this is Raj.
Yeah, Raj, please.
Yeah, so what kind of data do we load? Is it just city, state, county for USA?
That's all.
What other data does Nokia data load?
That's all. That's all. Only this country structure, country address style related data. That's all.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And there is just one job which does that, not multiple, right?
That's all. Whenever you just click on that load Nokia data, it will trigger the job and it will populate the data under that specific country, which country you are selecting. That's all. No other task we
So
have to
Lakshman,
perform.
can we do it for multiple countries at the same time, or we have to go country by country?
One by one. Submit, just you have to submit one by one. It will be running for multiple countries also, but you have to do one by one.
Lakshman, this is Rakesh. I have one question. Uh, as we can see on the screen, I mean, sometimes in EBS, it allows when you go to the geography structure, we can enter some information sometimes
We
if
can
the
do
vertex file was not,
here also you can enter.
yeah. Yeah, it says that user entered. So if there is any zip code which is missing or something happened, we can enter manually also in this, right?
Yes. I'll show you now itself that.
Okay.
Say for example,
Lakshman,
no, 1 second.
sorry,
To
Lakshman.
that point,
Okay.
I want to enter one under this state. I want to add one county, for example, or else under this county I want to add new city. You select it. So you have to select county if you want to enter city. If you want to enter county, that should be under state. You have to select state to enter county. To enter city, city would be under county. Select county. Click on create. You can enter here. So with what reference you are entering, that you can select. You got the data from, okay, from the tiger data, tax where or user or text or which is source of information. That's how you can add
Okay,
it.
so thanks for that. I mean, I just wanted to know because usually it is not required, but sometimes there can be a situation where we need to. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks. Any other?
So Lakshman, this is Srini here. Typically in the EBS environment for the tax purpose, the state, city, county, state, county, city, based on that the tax will be calculated, and Vertex will provide the files, updated files based on the growth of the cities or whatever.
Correct.
And we take the file and we upload it to the system. And in this case, where would be the file? Are we loading any file upfront before running this process, or
No,
somebody else will do that, or is it automatic?
As you mentioned, if there is some growth or some amendments, some changes to that geography related information, yes, they'll provide the file that we can load. But this is as of now, when you get the instance based on the latest version, by the time whatever the specific country geography information they'll be providing. If you want to load the file, we have option. I'll show you that. They're giving the option to load the file if you want to load. You can load from the file and you can keep the file in the desktop, or from some URL you can load it. Okay, different options they are given, and you can do the mapping and you can load. I'll show you that that is separate task. Generally, this is what we do. If required, if you want to load from the file also, we can load it. We have a separate task called as load geographies. Okay.
Lakshman, Tej here, and you mean say that for US we could not able to because someone has already initiated. Can we do for India, where you can look at this?
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll see. Notice as a not done. It's all about just you have to click on that. You have to click on load Nokia data. We'll see that. I'll take you through that.
Hey, one more time.
Lakshman, this is Roy.
We no need to do anything. Just it's all about as is shown. Search for the country. Go to actions. Click on load Nokia data. Nothing else we have to do.
Lakshman, this is Roy.
Roy.
Assuming the name of a city or county has been changed, can you rename it here?
You can edit it. Say for example, this city name got changed, or this postal code they changed. You select this record, click on edit. You can edit it, or else they just they merge the city with other city. So you delete that city. Okay, you can do that.
Lakshman, because this is a SaaS model, right? Do you think that Oracle will do like maintenance of geographies? So time to time they load file and update it, or
they do that.
Again, it's a customer specific.
No, they do that. That is the reason simply you can depend on this manage geographies, where you can populate this data from Nokia source.
Okay.
So what is the task name? Is it manage geography hierarchy? Is that the task we submit for Nokia data?
No, just manage geography. Within the manage geography, we selected hierarchy. That is the reason it's displaying like that. Task name is manage geographies. inside we navigated. So that is the reason you could able to see as a managed geography hierarchy.
Lakshman, one last question from Rakesh. This is Rakesh. So you said, someone asked just now that Oracle will be doing the maintenance. So like in EBS, when we had a contract or we had to pay Vertex to provide regular feed from Vertex files, we don't have to do it here. It automatically gets updated by Oracle.
You can have that separate subscription from Vertex. In that case, you will be loading the file, but you can Oracle will make sure that they are just maintaining the latest data in the instance with the latest updates.
Right. I mean, in that way, we can. Who will go for Vertex subscription, right? If Oracle, we can rely on Oracle updating the data.
You can rely on Oracle. Yes.
Okay.
They'll maintain the data up to date related to these geographies.
Right. So in the current scenarios, wherever you have have experience,
other tax calculations, the instead of maintaining, say you are going to use EBT, e-business tax in EBS, in the Fusion same we are calling as Fusion tax. Instead of defining the tax rates, etc., and all you want to manage through that, in that case you may go with a additional subscription of the Vertex or Taxware, some other third party vendor related data that you will be able to load into the application. That is possible, but just it's all about this geographies information. You don't need to go with the subscription. You can just depend on what Oracle updates.
Okay, right. Okay. Anyway, for tax rates, definitely we have to go for.
Yeah, if you want to depend on third party, you have to do that anyway. Or else, if you want to define within the environment itself, yes, that is always possible. So in that case, you don't need to go with that, right? So
okay, but then in that case, the tax rates would be manually maintained by the company or the client, not by the Vertex. I mean, we have to rely on what data we are maintaining, right?
Yeah. The geography information probably Oracle will take care of. Rest, if you want to depend on other vendor, that you can look at how you want to manage the rest.
Got it.
Take decision.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey Lakshman, this is Preetham here.
Yeah.
So you told that we can update the country code also, right?
Country code? No, I'm not talking about country code. It's all about
state code. I'm saying.
Yeah.
State code. If you can, if you are able to do it, so it will come in the LOV if you are creating some customer supplier.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so there is no valid. I mean, there is no restriction coming from Oracle to do. I mean, to restrict this.
Yeah, they are not restricting, since maybe reason could be blindly nobody will do it.
Yeah, I think same goes for currency code also. I mean, I can define any currency code. Same.
Reality you should not create, right? Every currency is predefined.
Right.
They say there are many things where we can play with this, even not required, but we should not do if not required. We should not change if it is not required, right? So that is there everywhere. Right. So, but there are few things which really impact the application related understanding, the programming aspect or complications. There they are restricting. Once you create, you cannot change. Take example, once you create primary ledger, the selection of chart of accounts, calendar, currency you cannot change, but they allow you the accounting method, which anytime you can change and you can override and all. That's how, just wherever it impact the application functionality or process behavior, they're restricting. So which will depend based on the client business process or how they want to choose, maintain, which won't impact the business process or application functionality, that they are giving option to clients, right?
Okay. Yeah, but definitely if Vertex is connecting to generate the tax, that may fail.
See, 2 points here. You can connect, you can build online interface, okay, where the file you can load into our Fusion instance automatically by just using that templates. That is one option. Second option is offline, you can upload. You can get the file offline that you can load into the application. That is the second option. If not those two, you can go with this as a seeded just geography information.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, Preetham, thanks. So Lakshman, one question I was just thinking. So because this is a one-time activity and we load all this data, Nokia data once, but as we discussed some time back that it will be maintained by Oracle, like it will be. So how does that get updated when because we'll be doing only one-time activity. Afterwards, if any changes.
Very simple. So if anything need to be changed, what Oracle do normally?
So I mean, any patches or
That's it. That is
releases?
the point.
Okay.
So simply they'll
Okay.
apply the patch which will add additional values or anything. That's it.
Okay. Oh, great. So that will be like at the background, behind the scenes. We'll not know, but it will get updated.
Exactly. They'll do it.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
There are like tax vendors and location vendors. They grab this all information, they prep the file, they sell it to the companies. Oracle might grab one file and upload it to the
That
other
would be
instances.
background
So
process.
okay, let me ask. Yeah, that might be the reason. But I have a different question though. When we enter the customer address information or the supplier address information, there are address validation procedures, and that there's a DQM involved, data quality management piece is involved too. Do we have a connection between that and this?
Same we have. Yeah, same we have. And again, we
Same
have
like in
also we have one step ahead. We have to go in this same discussion. There we could see for this data when you are entering, really you want to set the validations or not. You can specify validations are required or not. You can specify, or else you want to keep this data in this environment. You activate, and it should come in the LOV or not. Okay, you can decide whether it should display in the LOV or else you want to enter state name or county name manually, then system has to validate or not. You can specify, or else you can enable LOV. The data should come LOV, then you will be selecting. And again, for taxation, this validation is required or not. Everything you can go and specify. The next step we'll see that information. The validation points will come into next step.
Thank you very much. Typically, the validation part is needed for the company. So.
Yeah, we'll see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Lakshman, this is a mandatory setup, is it?
Yeah, it's a mandatory. You have to do it. Without this, you can go ahead. In that case, dynamically, you have to enter the data everywhere. Anything you enter, system will accept. Okay. You just go and enter the state name. Enter state name with the wrong test, it will accept. Enter postal code with your whatever the code you want to enter, it will accept. Since there is no predefined data and no validations you are following, you should run it as a mandatory. Okay, if you don't run it as a mandatory, just system will allow anyone to enter any data. You know how it leads going forward. Do it as a mandatory. Fine. So any other questions here, please?
And this setup is we need to at this phase, or you can do any point of time.
Before you start with the configuration, before you start with the address related configurations. So instead of going with that details, before we start with the setups, we do it.
Okay, fine.
You got access to instance. You create project, you do it, or else before creating project also you can do it. But do it before starting with the setups. Any other questions here, please? Fine. We'll just move on to next step here. So these are the points we have to understand. I'm just canceling this display page. And here the next one is here hierarchies. We've seen how the data is loaded from Nokia source. Here we have validation defined. Click on this. So here you could see United States postal address format. For postal address format, so the state, county, city, postal code. So that information, what are the states, counties, cities, postal codes you have, that has to be displayed in LOV or not. Enable list of values. If you enable, if you are creating the address for suppliers or customer or any location, so at that time all the states it will show the LOV. You can click on LOV. If you disable it, the system will display the state field, but that would be dynamic. You have to enter. You have to enter. If you want to allow the system to accept, say for example, you loaded, you disabled it, you disabled, and you are entering the state name with some spelling mistake. Still, system want you to allow the spelling mistake, even if you are entering the state with the spelling wrong spelling. So in that case, you can disable geography validation. Then no validation. Dynamic field, no validation. Or else you want to enter dynamically, but system should have a validation. Now what system will do? Nokia data, whatever the data we have within the data, the whatever the user entering the state or state name that is matching with existing data which is available in instance or not, it will have validation. To avoid all this unnecessary process, normally we go with, we'll enable LOV and it will select existing value only. This validation also not required, but we'll keep it as on. So this is how you can set it. The same for state, county, city. Okay, if you are going to have if you are doing the implementation where you do the taxation and tax definitions, always just you will do, I mean, if you are going to derive the tax based on the locations and all the aspects, definitely that address style should come into the picture. So if you are going to have a taxation in the specific countries, make sure that these you are enabling. Okay, just enable it. Even you may calculate tax at state level or county level, just enable everything, there won't be an issue. So system will make sure there will be separate process when you work on fusion tax. We'll discuss that. You have to run separate process after enabling this. So then everything will get synchronized and it will work. Okay, so that's how we have. So this is just for address structure. This is tax address format. So both are same, but they're given as a separate. So make sure that the two levels, these checkboxes you are enabling. So this is what we have to do as a first step. Okay, so just I'm canceling, we'll discuss few more points. So first you have to search for the country, you have to go to actions, you have to click on import Nokia data, where we can find the import data within the instance. We cannot go and see where it is exactly, but it is there in the instance. Once you submit this, it will trigger the process, it will load the data for selected country, and once you load, system will mark it as the tick mark as defined. It marked this tick mark as defined, again hierarchy defined and validation defined. It will mark it automatically. And geocoding defined, it will mark once you click on this and say okay, that means it's a validation. Geocoding validation, by default it would be like this. In the initial stage you have to click on this, it will be marked, and that means geocoding defined means address validation takes place. So sorry, that is a cleansing. Validation means address style and complete address information. Validation happens through address cleansing defined. If you click on that, it will validate the complete information which is there inside. So anyway, this we are loading from the same instance, there won't be an issue, it will be done. Geocoding is defined if you want to track, it's related to maps. We have a Google Maps, right? In the same way, within the Google Maps, how the location can be identified with the latitude and longitudes, right? So with that, to point out where that customer address or supplier address, basically this geocoding can be used for map tracking purpose. Mostly the sales people use in the CRM point of view, they use it to identify where other salesperson is located on the maps. By seeing, they can access this through mobile devices. They can see nearby any salesperson is there from their company and all. That's how they can use through this Fusion applications also. For that purpose they given. So just you can click on, it will get enabled. And this is actual stuff which you have to understand. So address structure can be loaded by Nokia data and hierarchy can be loaded. Validation system will do it, or else you can go on to verify and you can set how you prefer. But make sure that you will be setting everything. Always we prefer go with LOV since data is available within the instance. Set tax validation if a country falls under taxation, and set validations for geography also. This is how just we have to do it. And these points, it's all about geocoding to track that people information on the maps. and to capture the latitude and longitudes. This address cleansing is nothing but validating this address, validating this country geography information. For that you have to click on that, it will get validated. It's already done. Otherwise, before doing that, it would be like this. It would be like arrow mark. Once you click, it will be turned into this if everything is fine. So this is how you can do. Like now we'll go with other countries. You can compare and understand. So you want to just load the data, and you want to just do it. You want to go with your own address style definition and all. In that case, you can do it. You can define your own address style, but it's a unique. Like I mean, that's unique to country to country. It's a fixed address style which we follow global. I mean, in that measurements. So if you want to create your own, you can create accordingly. You can get the data and you can load it. That is also possible. So we'll see that. Just click on search. It will list out all the countries, all the geographies. Okay. So you could see all the countries here. So you take here, you take this country, and here you can go with that, select that country. Here you could see that everything is not defined, so there is no address style, nothing. If you want to create these address styles and all, what you could do is you can click on geocoding enabled. You can just click on that, or else you no need to do that. Before doing that, it's already enabled. You can disable it, no issues. Directly you can go to this structures. You can define your own structure. Click on this structures. You create the structure for this country. If this country structure is similar to other country structure, you can copy it. Say for this country structure is similar to China address structure, geography structure. In that case, you can select, you can say apply, it will be done. Or else this structure is totally unique, you cannot copy any other structure equal to this. In that case, you can
Lakshman, your voice is breaking frequently.
You have to check internet connectivity from your side. I don't have issue from my end. Okay, so here you can select what are the geography types you have to have for this country. Okay, for this country. So what is the top level? Say maybe state. Add it. Remember, we don't do it normally. We just load as Nokia data, or else if there is some specific country where Nokia data is available, in that case you may do it. Or else based on the sheet which you are loading, it will get the data, and within that there may be some region. The region just we added. Within that maybe some district. This is how just you can define the structure. You can define the structure, then say save and close. Now you can go and enter the hierarchy information. You can enter states under states. Okay, and under regions. See, once we just created structure, hierarchy also got enabled. Now click on this hierarchy. Here you can add one by one. Here Bahrain. Here you can just select it. Under that you can create the structure we given, right? Select it. Under this, whatever you create, those comes under region. Save it. Under this we have a something we just given. Under that you can specify, select it, click on add. You can provide some value and click on save. Click on save and close. That's how hierarchy you can define. Under that you can just expand. The region is there. So this is just how you just define the structure. Accordingly you can maintain the information inside of it. So this our own structures also you can define. Normally we just load the Nokia data, or else we load through file. So normally we never go through this sort of manual process. Okay. So this is what we have to understand about loading the Nokia data. Just populating the Nokia data. You look at country called as India. Search for IN. So for this also already the task is completed. If you can go to hierarchy defined, you could see all the information. So within the country, all the states, Delhi, Goa, Gujarat, Haryana, Kerala, all the states you could see. If you expand, so how they given accordingly, you could see within that state what we have. Just they given the value type as a county. Okay, you can go with any one of the state and you can see in that. Just you say within that all these are states which they name type as.
Lakshman, we need to run a specific country or running why one country will pop up all the.
You have to run one by one. Okay. Fine. Country wise, you have to do it. Okay. Country wise, we have to do it. So this is a state. Under that, these are all the districts. And if you just click on any one of the district, within that, what are the mandals? We have that system will list out. Okay, all these mandals. Within that, maybe villages. No, these are the villages. That means low level. So that's how just we can all these we can get from Nokia data. Okay, just we have to load it. That's how you can get this information. Okay. So if you want to load from the file, you can use the task called as. So you can use task called as upload geographies. So geographies here will have a load, not upload. Just you can select any one of the tasks. It will allow you to load the data for any country. It's a kind of process which you have to do, where you do mapping and all these, the file selection, everything you have to do it. So you can provide for which country you are going to do it. It's a geo data loading for India, and this just object which information, some geography related information, geography. Okay, so this you can use for the purpose of the data related to different set of information. Also you can use for different application related process, geography related, and the file type is test file, or what the file you are going to source file is going to get from where, from desktop or some particular URL. Okay, then you can just, if it is a desktop, you can browse the file. If it is URL, you can provide that URL path, and some web content, web center content server, which is related to the Fusion environment we have, or it could be some other. Basically, it's from Fusion they are referring. And the same way, like the data type is what type of file format, comma separated, or okay, tab delimited. All these specifications you have to give here. Then you can click on next. You can do the field mapping. Okay, that's how just you can give all this specification and you can submit. That's how system will be loading. We didn't provide all the fields of information.
Lakshman, quick question here. In what business scenario we need to utilize this feature? Because when we have two steps of process, get into the definition.
Yeah.
When what scenario we need to get into the import actually?
See, because you don't want to populate the Nokia data and you want to load the data. In that case, you can go with this process. Or else, Oracle is not providing the Nokia data for all the countries. In that scenario, you can use this option. Okay. So you can click on next. The data type is either missing or invalid because data type. You have to browse some file here. Okay. So in that case, you can say comma separated. Then include. Give all the specifications, then click on next. Here we are not browsing the file and all. We are not giving all the specifications. You can give here. It will show the field maps, field mapping between this. Then you can submit. That's how you can load the data through this option. Okay. So which, I mean, within that file, like what are the data? I mean, here these are the fields of data which can be invited, and equal to this, which fields of data you have in that file. You can just look at here. In your file, you have only 10 columns, for example. So here, say you have 20 columns. The rest you can ignore it. These you can ignore. So in your file, you don't have type, that you can set as ignore. Here, ignore option we have. So first name you don't have, ignore it. So this is how you can specify. Then you click on next. You can schedule or you can submit directly. This is how you can load the file. So normally when you do the implementation, we just go with the Nokia data only. That would be enough. So for the most of the countries, they're given primarily where we do the implementation, like India, US. For many other countries, they're given the Nokia data. Always we go with the Nokia data option. If for a specific country where you do implementation, if that is not available, then you can go with this loading process. Again, get the file from any source systems or other third-party vendor that can be loaded into this process by using this task. So this is what we have to understand. This task we have to complete before you start with anything, or at least say before you start do any setup which is related to addresses. So any questions from anyone, please, to understand about it, or any confusion, any clarity required on this, please. It's a simple task. Once you get fresh instance access, go and submit it. That's it. Okay. Sometimes it takes days time also. I could see in one instance, so for one client we have seen, it went more than 2 days time because of some performance issues. And in one scenario we come across 1 day time it took. In one instance it happened in a few hours only. I think 4 to 5 hours it took. So that's how it happens. So anyway, just whenever it's not like you don't plan this to run. You want to start with the setups today and you don't start running this. Whenever you get instance access, you just go and complete it. Then all the Nokia data would get populated. Then any point of time you can start with the setup so that you can select the data, the geography data for any definitions. So just plan in that way, that will work. So any other
this one is Pradeep here. So this is a SaaS. It's a SaaS. So how the performance will degrade?
See, it is the task. This specific task. It's completely like how that process of populating the data. They just made a mechanism, and the performance related issues they have on in this stage. Sorry, I kept on mute. 1 second. Sorry. See, that's what Oracle just informed. We submitted and we raised SR. They came back to us saying that yes, we have that Nokia data related to some performance issues. It will take some time and all. That's what they addressed. The same happened, and later releases we could notice as that got improved in terms of loading this data. We don't know the reasons behind it, why it's happening, but what we could see is it takes some time to load, and what Oracle said is they have some performance related issues for this loading the Nokia data. Okay, So it could be any environment. It could be SAS or PAS or anything. Okay, it has some kind of performance related issues, but it won't impact anything. Notice that.
So Lakshman, one question here. This is Rakesh. So it's like as simple as when you are implementing, as soon as you get the instance, like if you obviously you will be knowing for which countries you are doing the implementation, like for US, Canada, Mexico, just start this load Nokia data for only those 3 countries and that's it. And then you can
exactly. And again, if you are going to have your suppliers and customer in other countries, you can submit for those also.
Yeah, I mean, in future, if you have start business in different countries, in future also you can load their data and then
anytime you can just load the Nokia data. So when you are creating any addresses or locations for which countries you want to create the locations or addresses for all those countries, you can submit it.
Okay, so you're saying, I mean, if we have any transactions with other countries or something like that, business in other countries, definitely you can any time in future you can do it. It's not that while only implementing.
No, not required. See, initial level you do it for which client you are doing the implementation. Okay, so that's all for that country-based definitions only we do it, right? The registration related information and the way the operations are based out. So that is primarily required. So going forward, your customers may be in the different location, countries, suppliers may be different. So when you create them, you can just submit that and you can proceed with that. That's how you can get all the predefined and populated data which you can select from LOVs. So that's how you can get it.
Right. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. And one point here, don't mind, just when you have a question, straight away you can go with the question. You don't need to refer your name and all. Anyway, I can see here name. So that it's a little bit time consuming if you are trying to say who is speaking and all, not required. So you can go with your question directly, anytime, anyone, please. Okay, done. So any other questions here, please? Fine, no questions. So once we're done with that, we can start with our actual configuration in any fresh instance. So what we could do is we can start with the configuration like our calendars, chart of accounts, and currency related topics. So here we'll take the primary object as a primary ledger creation. Okay, primary ledger creation. We know if you want to create the primary ledger, what are the tasks we have to complete. So we have to create accounting calendar, and we have to enable the currency. We have to create chart of accounts. To create the chart of accounts, we have to perform many subtasks that we'll discuss and do it. The first task here is, okay, anyway, we require accounting method that is there seeded that we'll be using. Later we'll look into that also, how it is there, and if you want to modify how to do it. Accounting method, or call it as subledger accounting. Fine. First we'll see the accounting calendar. We know how to create accounting calendar in EBS. How to create accounting calendar in case of EBS. First we'll create the period type, right? Then by selecting the period type, we'll create accounting calendar. What are the different options to create the accounting calendar in EBS? The one option is always manually you can create, you can give the name and you can give the period name prefix and period type, the start date, end date, sequence of period, and it belongs to which quarter, what should be the actual period name. So that's how you have to enter all the periods, and you can specify the how many adjustment periods you require. This is one option. Otherwise, you can load the accounting calendar information into application by using the data loader. These are the two options. So first step is period type definition. Second step is accounting calendar creation. Accounting calendar you can create through manual process, or you can load by using the data loader sheets. But in the Fusion, you don't need to create the period type, you don't need to load, or you don't need to create accounting calendar through manual process. They automated it. Just you have to give the specifications, how many periods you required, what period type you required, all are predefined, how many adjusting periods required, where you require, you have to specify, then you have to submit. Automatically system will create the periods. We'll go and see that. We are going to see how to create accounting calendar. Before that, we are comparing with EBS. In EBS, this is the process. First task is we have to create the period type. The second task is you have to create accounting calendar through manual process or loading. But in the Fusion, they automated. Automatically, you can create accounting calendar by giving some specifications. We'll go and see that. So we'll do from project. This task you can create directly from here also. You can go to search. From here you can find accounting calendar creation task you can create. But let's do everything from project, and later we'll discuss which task you can do from outside of the project also. But initially we'll start everything doing from our project only. Go to our project. So open this project. Search for the task called as accounting calendars. Almost 99% tasks starts with manage, but you no need to type it. So accounting calendars. So manage accounting calendars. This is available as a financials by following this path. We no need to remember any path. We never follow. We use the path directly. We search and we'll navigate and we'll do it. Manage accounting calendars. Click on go to task icon. So this is a page where we can create accounting calendars. There are many accounting calendars which are created already in this instance, since many guys are practicing. So fine. To create, click on create. So we know very well when we work on the application, so that they are giving as a note. We know, like when you perform the translation cannot be performed for the first period of your accounting calendar, that they are giving the note. So if there is any requirement for any client to perform the translation in the first period, what we do, we'll recommend the client to have a very first period as adjusting, then actual period as a second period. In that case, they'll be able to do it, since that is very some critical note they are giving here directly. So let it be that, so we know that. So here we'll give the name as we are using what project, Cloud INC, right? We'll give Cloud INC accounting calendar. It is not accepting more than these characters. Okay, I'll say accounting calendar. Here I can write Cloud INC accounting calendar for USA. So specify start date. Your accounting calendar should start with which date? When you talk about USA financial year starts from Jan, ends with the December. So select start date as a 1st Jan. And period frequency you want to create, it is equal to period type in EBS. In EBS we have to create the period type. Within the period type you can specify number of periods including adjusting. Here when you say period type, period frequency monthly means it will take 12 periods. Adjusting periods you can add here. Okay, and here what should be the separator between the month and year, what should be the separator, and format, how the period name should appear. One system will create the periods automatically. There are multiple formats, you can choose whatever you require. Okay, this is standard format which you use for the periods, right? And in Fusion, you know, budgets, right? In EBS case, if you are defining the budget, we use accounting calendar only for budgeting purpose also. In Fusion, if you want to have a different calendar for budgeting purpose, you can have. In that case, whatever the calendar you are creating, if you want to use that calendar only for budgeting purpose, you can enable it, so that you will be using budgeting purpose. Your accounting calendar would be one and your budgeting calendar would be different. So your accounting calendar may be monthly, or budgeting calendar may be weekly. That's how you can define that flexibility they give it. That we'll see when we are working on budgets. For now, ignore it. Now here is the point where you can specify how many adjusting periods you require. Okay, these are the predefined options available. If you don't want any one of these, you can go with other, and you can specify number of adjusting periods. So here they given predefined options as once at beginning of year, once at end of the year, mid of the year, once at end of the year, mid of the year, twice at year end, 2 adjusting periods in the year end, once at year end, twice at year end, none, no adjusting periods required. Other, it will ask you to enter number of adjusting periods. You can enter 4, 5. It will be added in the end of the year. Quarterly once. Okay, you can select quarterly. Every quarter it will add one adjusting period. That's how the periods will be added. If I select once at year end, so monthly means 12 plus 1. Now if I click on next, it will create accounting calendar by following this information. Any questions here, please? Don't give any user defined prefix. It will add for the period name before. Nobody use it. Any questions to understand this, please? We are just setting predefined specifications. Based on that, system will create the accounting calendar, and with a one click you can add 1 year periods once you create it. Any questions, please? No questions. Just click on next. It will create accounting calendar with this name. Next. Created. So we given adjusting period once at year end, right? It's created 13th period, taking the name as December 13th and all, and enabled. You can change the name how you want to say adjusting period. You may say December 18 ADJ or something else. You can write it. The quarters, numbers, everything you define. System define how we define in case of EBS through manual process. It enabled as last period as a adjusting based on the option which we selected here. So period names also just it's taken, and you can just save it. After creating, you have to save it. After saving it, it will add the tab, or else you can say save and close and you can reopen. I think you can do it. Wait for a second, it is saving. Done. Now the whatever system created, we saved it. Now the period talks about 2018. You want to add one more year, next year. Just click on add year. That's all. Click on add year. It will add periods for 2019. Just one click. Add it. 2019 periods are added. Save it. Whenever you create, save it. So there is no just kind of situation where we commit with the mistakes when we enter the start date and date for the period and all. Okay, these are all not applicable since system will create it. Okay, based on the period frequency, I mean system will create later. If you want to modify and all, you can change the naming, etc. All you can change it depending on that country specific requirements. So here you can select all so that you can see the periods for 2018 and 19. Scroll and all you can see all the periods 18 and 19 periods. So this is how we can create the accounting calendar. Any questions from anyone, please?
Lakshman, where did you add 1 year to 2018 to 2019?
Sorry?
You added a year. It came from 2018.
Yeah, we added 1 year by clicking on add year.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Every year you have to come and add year, and it will add the year.
Not required. See, once you create calendar, you add 2-3 years or 4-5 years. Those will be there as part of calendar, right? So every year, we don't need to plan to do every year, right? Just you can whenever you create, add 2-3 years. After 2-3 years or later, you can do it again. Yeah.
Okay, and if we want this same periods to be used for budget, then we leave the budgetary control only option as well.
Anyway, this would be available for budgeting by default.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions related to this calendar definition, please? Since no questions, let's save and close. The next task is enable currency. Yeah, please.
Lakshman, one more question about the adjust translation. So you said 1 year, it has to be full 1 year before translation, right?
Sorry?
So The translation or the adjustment period can happen only after 1 year, that is end of December 18.
You know, you understand that point, right? What is the note Oracle given?
Yeah, that's what I am trying to put an analogy. What is, so if our first period is January 18, the earliest we can have the translation done is adjustment period of 18, which is after
Yeah, if you
December,
have a
correct?
plan of doing the adjusting, or what I could say, translation in the first period, in that case, you select adjusting period as a one in the first, one in the last. Anyway, last adjusting period we require. End of the year, we do some adjustments, right? So, since you are planning to do translation the first period also, select adjustment option as a one first and one last.
Okay, but in this case, we could not have defined as adjustment
Yeah,
in
we didn't do
18.
that because we are not going to do the translation the first period. We will be working on it to understand, but it's not a real requirement, right? So that is the reason I just added only one.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So the second point here is calendar we created, enable currency. In case of EBS, in the fresh instance, we have to enable the currency, which currency is required at the time of primary ledger creation, or else if you are going to have a foreign currency transactions, you will be dealing with which foreign currency transactions. First you have to enable, you have to, so that those will be available. You can create the rate and you can use in the transaction process. But Fusion, you no need to enable any currency. Okay, EBS we have to enable. If it is not, if you don't enable, it won't be available. In Fusion, by default, all currencies are enabled. By default. In fresh instance, I am talking everything I'm referring with the fresh instance, not just Vision. Okay, in fresh instance, all currencies by default you could see as enabled. If you think all currencies are enabled whenever a user is recording the transaction, when they try to select currency if required, all the currencies are getting displayed which are not required. In that case, you may do the reverse activity of disabling all except whatever client required. Normally in case of EBS, we have to enable, that we treat as a best practice. We enable and we use it, but here by default all currencies are enabled. So if you don't want to see all those which you don't require, you have to disable. That's how we have to deal with the currencies here. We'll go to currencies. So manage, you just search for currencies. So task is manage currencies. Click on go to task icon. So here search for any currency you could see as a enabled. Currency code is USD. So it's already enabled. So in case of EBS, just when you go to the currency definition page, you could see many other fields also. Those also you could see here. You have to expand it. Below you can find all this issuing territory and all. By default not required, so they are hiding. So the precision symbol, etc., everything you can specify here. The same way you just search with the open criteria. You can find all the currencies. All the currencies you could notice as enabled. See, the fresh instance, all currencies are by default enabled. Anyway, we know like all currencies are system. Oracle provides currencies information as a seeded data, right? Seeded values. So we no need to create. That is the first point always in any environment. But when we talk about enabling EBS, we have to enable. In Fusion, you no need to enable. All are by default enabled. In Fusion, you may disable if you want to disable. So when users are performing the foreign currency transactions, if they find so all the values are coming in LOV, you may do the activity of disabling. Okay, that's to our decision. So that's all about enabling currencies. Okay, this I'll put here. So we're done with the accounting calendar and currency part. We didn't do anything with respect to currencies. So but we understand the point. We no need to enable. That's it. So later we'll see the chart of accounts. If you want to create the chart of account, many tasks, structure, segments, value sets, qualifiers. There are many other tasks that we'll discuss in the tomorrow session. So any questions from today's session, please, or any questions from previous classes, or any questions on this course? please.